Life as You Own It with Mark McDougall and Craig Miller.
Remember, you got questions, we've got answers. You may not take the time to educate yourself about the single largest investment and opportunity you have, that investment in the roof over your head in real estate.
We talk about your home, financing, making investments in real estate. We give you the facts, folks.
You know, it's just good old-fashioned horse sense that we like to talk about. And we also throw in some other horse stuff, too, just for fun.
All right, Life as You Own It. I'm Mark McDougall, and he is.
He's Craig Miller. He's
That's
all
right.
excited to be
He's got
here.
a great-looking orange shirt on.
This is not orange, Mark.
I'm
It's
sorry, you got
coral.
a great-looking pinkish.
Rosa, what color is this?
It's coral.
coral.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This is a coral shirt, Mark.
Right.
And if you hadn't heard, coral is a new color for spring.
Is that the color for spring?
It is.
Rosa
It's a
is
hot
called
color.
that.
Yep.
She called ahead. She obviously didn't care about your fashion today, so she called me. She said, "Craig, wear coral."
Or coral. The listeners
Coral's
will
the
want
new
to see
black.
it. Hey, I want to
Is
make sure the
this
listeners know they can actually see the action. They can see what's going on here. If you go to YouTube, hunt down Life as You Own It. I'm looking at you right now. We love you.
And we
give me a
want to
big wave.
vote on what color this shirt is.
Yes, if it's coral, it's pink, it's fuchsia. I don't even, what is fuchsia? Pinkish?
Green.
Hot pink.
Hot pink, and guy over here says green. All right, folks, if you're joining us for the first time, welcome. We hope you enjoy the next hour, and most importantly, we want you to leave here just a little smarter than whenever you joined. Now,
Good
I'm
luck
just
with
the
that.
I'm just the opposite. I leave here with a few less brain cells each and every weekend.
You
Just
show up
kidding.
with a few less too, so
I
it's
do.
like a double whammy.
I know. Before long, I'll just be drooling all over the mic. You'll be hitting me upside the head, and I might grunt something. So if you're
Well, that would
checking
be
us out for the first time, welcome. We hope you have fun. We hope that you learn a few things. And if you're a regular listener, then we encourage you, hang in there, because it only gets better from here. We've been on the air now almost 5 years. This is Life as You Own It. We talk about everything under the roof over your head, personal finance, how to save the most money, how to just save money, period. Today's show, it's a big one, Craig. You know why?
Because it's a lot of numbers.
It's a lot of numbers.
If
Here's
you
another reason.
multiply
So
by
tell me,
5.
how was your week, Craig?
It was good. Spring has sprung.
Right?
It's beautiful. I'm excited. I enjoy this weather. Get me all pumped up. So
Do you have allergies?
not that I'm aware of, although maybe I do because it feels like it sometimes. I don't think so. I'm not going to believe that I do, so it won't affect me. It's all in the head.
Good. You know what? It's something we could have covered, because we cover everything, how to fight off those allergies. But folks, it's not in this show. You'll have to listen to another one. Now,
Take a note for next week.
That's right. Remember, if you want to reach out to us, you can reach us at 877-300-1536, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. If you've got a question, we will have a friendly Life as You Own It attendant there to take that question. They hopefully can even answer it for you. If they can't, they'll make sure they get it in the hands of some genius, not named Craig or Mark, so that they can reach out to you. Just kidding. Craig, myself, one of our team members will reach out to you and give you a fantastic answer to your question, whatever it may be. And we encourage you. You've got a scenario, you got a question, we are your resource. You have suggestions for the show. We want to hear them.
We take suggestions too. We take whatever you got.
Shashevskis. We take Shashevskis, suggestions.
And another thing,
Yeah.
whether you live in Alaska or Arkansas or California, Texas, you name it, any of Puerto Rico for that matter, if you're listening to Life as You Own It and you're saying to yourself, I want to make sure before I refinance my home, before I purchase this home, that I am saving the most money possible, or you're just flat out looking for a certified mortgage planner to make sure that you get your transaction handled properly no matter where you live in the United States of America, we want to help you with that. You can call 877-300-1536 number, 877-300-1536, and I'll personally take a look at it for you if you want me to, and see if there's a way we can help you out.
You know what? Sometimes when I'm lonely, I'll call the number, just have someone to talk to,
And they usually transfer
and then I'll ask questions. Can you ask Craig what color shirt he's wearing tomorrow?
Exactly.
Yeah, they said pink, so just so you know.
Many a sleepless nights have I been on the phone with Mark when he's called the 877.
That's right. All right, folks. So today we said fives, all about the fives. Everyone gives you the top 5 tips about this, top 5 tips about that. It's all about the fives. Why? Because it's easy to remember. You can get a foot long at a. We're not going to say who it is. Cut that off before, because they're not yet a national sponsor of Life as You Own It.
Yeah,
Though I'm sure once they hear this free promo, they will be. I don't even know if they're running that special, whatever that might be. Hey, watch it. So we're going on 5. So we've got We're going to fill your head with 5 action steps, 5 things to watch out for, 5 must-haves if you're a homeowner, and 5 reasons to listen to Life as You Own It every week. Okay, 5 things that'll screw up your refi or mortgage or your purchase transaction. 5 things you need to know about home equity. 5 must-haves for your first time if you're a first-time home buyer. 5 workout tips for beginners. And that's just a few, folks.
Are you looking at me?
All that and more throughout the course of this hour, so you gotta stay tuned. Good information, all in easy to remember fiber segments.
Formats. We formatted
We have the
5.
fiber format, and remember, we're going to talk about here shortly where interest rates are, where they're trending, and the should you stay or should you go segment is our favorite. We've got 3 or 4 of those today where real live listeners have emailed or called us with their scenario, and we answer on air really quickly, really succinctly, if they should stay or they should go. Should they keep on in that current mortgage, in that current home they're living in, or should they sell it? Should they refinance it? Set it real quickly. We give them the skinny. The Cisco is what we like to call it.
That's right.
All right, Craig. So, you want to jump into some interest rates?
Let's do it. National average, folks. We share this with you every week on Life as You Own It. We give you the average over the past week. We'll talk about where rates were the week before that, and I'll give you a little bit of a opinion on where I think they're headed. Excuse me. So, this is always based on a $200,000 loan amount. That's what they use for the national average. There are fees, there are costs, and there are points. On average, nationally, people are paying right at 1 point. 1% of their loan amount is what 1 point is, so that means a $200,000 loan. That's $2,000. It's very important when you're looking at these numbers to take that into consideration, because we always tell you, watch those fees and watch those fees and watch those fees over and over and over again every week. Paying more fees and more closing costs to get a lower rate does not always compute to a better deal. So what you want to make sure that you do is the math. And how do you do that? You go to lifeasyouownit.com, check out the break-even formula that I've typed up there, so you can do some real simple math to figure out how much interest savings there really is. Factor that into how much you start off with in fees and costs. Then you'll know what the break-even period is of how long it takes to recover. Or seek out, well, in addition to, I should say, weigh that option against a zero cost or a very low cost loan, because lower cost sometimes with a slightly higher rate is the better deal, especially in the first few years or even several years of that loan transaction. All right, let's talk about what rates have done over the past week. 4.28 on a 30-year fixed is a national average. Now that's versus 4.29 the prior week. So in the past couple weeks, what have we seen? Interest rates are pretty flat. There may be a slight improvement coming. We'll talk about that in just a moment. 15-year rates, 3.30 versus 3.30. Last couple weeks, 15-year rates have been really flat. 5-year ARMs, same thing, 3.35 versus 3.35, and that's a 5-year or a 30-year amortization, folks, with a rate fixed for 5 years. That's what a 5-year ARM is. 4.02 on an FHA 30-year fixed versus 3.99 the prior week. Again, virtually flat there. Okay, what do I think is going to happen though in the next week? Well, we have seen some of the pressure on mortgage-backed security bonds selling over the past couple weeks kind of subside a little bit. So they've stabilized, and I do think there's a potential, not for a major decrease in interest rates, but potentially a slight decrease in interest rates. Should you not lock in if the transaction you're looking at today makes sense? Absolutely not. I think locking is still prudent. If it makes sense, jump on it, but rates could improve slightly. All right, Mark, what does that sound?
All right, should you stay or should you go? Your scenario, emailed, or if you call us, it may be selected for this very special segment. Okay, Mike in Tucson, Arizona, called the hotline with the following. Hey guys, I have a home that I bought 2.5 years ago for $267,000 that now would sell for around $360,000. I have 2 questions. 1, if I sell now, will I have to pay taxes on my gain? And 2, do you think we are headed for another bubble, or do you think my home value will keep climbing? I don't want to lose what I've gained. I would like to sell when I'm up and then buy again when prices drop again. Wow, wouldn't we all? All right, Craig, should he stay or should he go?
I'm going to say go.
That's a lot of questions.
When it pertains to just going ahead and selling, and that I give my little long drawn out explanation.
He says
go
go.
as in sell. If that's your focus, if you're so concerned about losing that equity you've gained and that's your primary deal, you've gained almost $100,000, sell it. Go for it. Now, really, honestly, are you going to be able to always pick it and choose it right when the timing's right? No, you're not going to be able to always buy and sell perfect timing. So all you're worried about is the money.
Go, and we got to go. When we come back, we've got 5 ways that you will possibly screw up your refinance or mortgage transaction. You don't want to do it. Don't
and I'm going
wanna do it.
continue to bloviate on this topic.
Life as you own it.
All right, friends, we are back. Life as you own it, and I was cut off at the end of the last segment, so I'm going to finish what I was saying.
And apparently you have some road rage because anyway. I don't appreciate you. That
Apparently,
gesture, my friend.
My skills on throwing wads of paper into the trash can in the corner exceeded yours because I swished that thing that you missed a second ago.
I did it.
I
as a
did
hook
too, didn't
shot.
I, Rose? It was a swish.
Mine was a hook shot, not even looking at the basket.
It's
Hook
not like
shot.
we were playing pig or something. I didn't have to copy exactly what you did. Okay, so folks, I want to tell you that there are markets around the country that have had pretty significant price increases in home equity. I mean, you went from, terrible drop in home prices to a fairly quick recovery. Maybe not all of it, but a lot of it. And I see a lot of people asking this question, the same question that our friend in Tucson, Mike, had. If you're really concerned about gaining back what you may have lost before or getting ahead, taking it while you're ahead, by all means sell, but you got to live somewhere. So keep in mind, if you're selling for more money, you're also going to be paying more money for the other home that you're going to buy. And it's just really impossible to time this stuff perfectly. So the advice I gave was to go, meaning to go ahead and sell, because it seemed like that was his main concern. But you've got to take a lot of other things into consideration. Are you going to be paying a higher interest rate than what you have on your current loan? How much are you going to have to pay for a replacement dwelling in the meantime? And is that one going to drop?
Right.
Before you, how are you really going to get ahead on this, really? So you got to live somewhere. He didn't say whether it was primary residence for sure or not. I'm assuming it's his primary, but it's a tough deal to juggle that. It's better for just real estate's a long-term investment. This isn't something you can continually flip and roll and make a bunch of money.
And we've dedicated an entire show to do the math on it. Make sure that the changes you need, if they can't be accomplished in the form of a remodel, then make sure you time it so that your financial plan can afford making that increase in investment in real estate. Or if it's obviously going to be a downsize situation, then probably no time like the present. But make sure you understand, can I remodel what I'm in now? Is what I'm thinking to purchase something that meets my needs, and does it fit into my financial picture? The third one is the most important of all those.
That's right.
All right. So, Craig, you ready?
I'm
5
ready.
things that will just turn your mortgage transaction sideways, whether it's a purchase or refi.
There you go.
Wait, what's after?
Can you count to 105,
that.
Mark? Have you ever learned to do that? If not, when we're done with
I'm
the
busy
show,
watching the video.
pull that up
pretty
on
good
YouTube
one.
for you.
That's before my time. Schoolhouse Rock.
This is ways to screw up. Let's
All right,
tell
let's do
people
it,
how
Craig.
not to do it, or to do it. Let's help you screw up. If you really want to do this, we're going to tell you how to do it.
You want to jack up your mortgage transaction, we can help you do it right here.
What's number one?
You don't
Mark?
want to. Number one is, let's see, whenever you're going to a transaction, you believe that your house is going to appraise for $300,000 because, well, that's your fantasy. But it potentially is more of a $250,000 house. You have unrealistic expectations about the value of your house. It'd be a good one.
Happens a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you go into the transaction making any plans or assumptions financially regarding the value of your home and share that with the potential lender, and then you find out, and that's the number one reason why we see loans these days fall apart. If the credit's good and everything else is in line, it's usually the value of the home that throws things off. So do a little research if possible online. Ask a realtor in your area that knows the market. Get a fair understanding of what your home value may be. If it's important to share that information accurately in order to decide if you can do something or not do it. Conversely, if it comes to purchasing a home, if you want to screw up a purchase transaction in that same vein, assume that the value that someone's asking for the home is the right value because they're asking it, and it seems like the market's kind of picking up. You may be overpaying for the home and finding it appraises for much less money.
And
we've
sometimes,
covered it before,
and we've had the conversation, someone will say, well, the market value is whatever someone wants to pay. Not necessarily, not in the eyes of someone lending you money. Someone may be willing to pay double what you bought that 78 Ford Mustang for, or we'll even say that
Sweet car.
2012 Ford Mustang. They may be willing to pay double. But if the market, if you look at all the comps and what everything else is selling for is half that, that is the value. So there is no, in the lending world, it's only when when half the people are paying that double amount, then you've got support for the value of it.
That's right.
So, all right, and another, Craig, maybe another one that jacks up that you see.
It happens all the time. We're going with that for number two.
Yeah.
Skipping around a little bit. Number two, folks, start renovating your home or doing some kind of home improvement project right before the appraiser shows up to do this. We see this a lot. Someone's planning on doing some home improvement work. They decide they're going to refinance. get a little cash out or whatever the case, and then bam, let's start ripping the drywall out and taking all the fixtures out of this bathroom, and we'll get the remodel underway before we do the loan. Well, if the appraiser shows up at your home and there's something that would affect safety, health, or marketability, they're going to notate that in the report, take some pictures of it, and it may very well halt your refinance until you can get that work done. We run into this all the time. So if you've got a part of a room in the middle of a renovation, especially if fixtures are missing, drywall is missing, that room's not functioning as it should, particularly a bathroom, a kitchen, something like that, you might want to get that done before you try to get the refinance done. Or if you're planning the work, don't take that claw hammer to the drywall until you're done.
Yeah, you got it. Unfortunately, that'll throw a wrench in the works.
Or a hammer into it.
A wrench or a hammer, one of the two. All right, folks, you know the drill. Should you stay or should you go? Love that music. Angie in St. Joe, Missouri emailed, hi. That's all she emailed. Hi, I have a $123,000 mortgage balance on my home, worth about $150,000. I have a 30-year FHA loan with a rate of 4.75. I plan to be here for about 10 more years. Should I refi or stay where I'm at? Owes 123, worth 150, 30-year FHA at 4 3/4. Plans to be there 10 years. Craig?
I'm going to say go. You definitely need to investigate an opportunity to refinance. You may be able to move to a conventional loan, get some lender-paid mortgage insurance to eliminate your PMI, even if you don't quite have 20% equity. You've got some options there to look at anyway. Pay attention to the closing costs and fees, though. It has to net out some good savings over the next 10 years to be worth doing it.
You are correct.
All right.
All right, so we've got 5 ways to kick your refinance or purchase transaction sideways. So if it's on a refi, obviously beginning the remodel project before you actually have the appraiser come out and close on the transaction. If that would be a purchase, and as you know, but them the seller beginning any work prior to agreeing to do work, beginning it and expecting it and not finishing it prior to the close date. Communicate with your mortgage lender. So if they agree to replace the roof, going to have to be done before you close on the purchase. So just make sure that you understand the rules of the game there. Another one is, and we see this all the time, is you delay the process.
That's right.
It is going to cost you more money, folks. I get it. It's a hurry up and wait game. That's the way it works. There's so many steps to be taken. You get your stuff to the mortgage bank as quickly as possible. Then you got to wait a couple days to get a response. So make sure you are not a cause for the delay, because what will it cost them, Craig?
Cost them the rate lock potentially.
It can
or
cost
some extension fees if you have to extend that rate. So
trust me, they're working hard, they're working fast, and they should explain right up front, when I ask you for something, I really need it back in 24 hours because the clock is ticking. You don't want that rate to expire.
If you've got summer vacation planned with the family and you've just applied for a refinance, guess what? Ask a lot of questions, take a good look at your file with your lender before you take off for a week or two, and make sure you've got everything that they need if you're not going to be available by phone, or make sure they know how to get a hold of you wherever you're going to be in case they've got a question or need some information for your loan file. But share that up front if you're applying for a loan so that they can plan your rate lock accordingly in case there is a delay in the process.
All right, and here's probably the number one we see, and it is the genesis of the should you stay or should you go scenario. It is when people do what, Craig?
Pay too much in closing costs or fees.
Yeah, or pay them, period.
Pay them, period.
Yeah. They don't do the math. They should possibly not do anything. It's whenever you're doing the transaction, you pay too much in junk fees, or you pay fees when you didn't have to.
And I think the most impactful way I can articulate this or demonstrate this for you is a story that I've had happen within the last year. Before we take a break, I'll share this real quick. I met with a particular homeowner who wanted to refinance for the fourth time in the last 8 years. I had never done a transaction for them before. They were coming to me by referral. I had asked them to bring in their last couple transactions, the paperwork from the last couple transactions. When adding up the fees that they paid and showing them the refinance transactions and doing the math for them, they moved backwards every time. They were $18,000 behind of where they would have been if they had not refinanced at all and just came to me fresh.
Their rate went lower each time, but they paid so much in fees, they backed it up.
They backed it up, and they never broke even on any of those other transactions. Big waste of money, folks. Crazy stuff. People fall for it all the time.
We see it every day. Hey, and the fifth one real quick is floating. Folks, if you're timing the market, you're probably not going to hit it just right, just like when you're purchasing a home. Don't wait for the bottom. Take what you got and run with it. When we come back, we're going to talk about HELOCs. Life as you own it.
All right, folks, we are back. Life as you own it. 5 things you need to know. Absolutely know about home equity loans, HELOCs. As Mark mentioned, a home equity line of credit is what a HELOC is, but sometimes a home equity loan may just be a fixed rate second mortgage or a home improvement loan of some type. Anything that takes equity from your home and applies it to some other endeavor, perhaps a remodel or paying some college tuition or paying off some other debts or whatever it may be. You need to know these things about a home equity loan, especially if you're going to either apply for one or try to utilize one to accomplish your financial goals. So, Mark, what do you need to know about home equity loans? Number 1 on the list.
All right, number 1 is you got to have equity.
You do have to have some.
What exactly is equity, Craig?
Equity is the difference between what your home is worth, based on an appraisal or some type of evaluation, and what you owe. What's your existing balance on your current mortgage? You may have a first and second mortgage now, and you're wanting to expand, pay off the current second mortgage, take out another one. In some cases, home equity loans could even be a third mortgage. But most commonly, you have a first mortgage, you've got a certain amount of equity, you want to take some of that equity, some people want to take all of it, and apply it to some other transaction. Well, you need to have some. So even going back to what we talked about in the previous segment, some of the ways to screw up a refinance would be to assume your value's too high. You may think your home has more equity than it does. You need to be realistic about the value of your home. And you're not going to be able to borrow all of it, folks. Bottom line, you just can't. You're going to have to retain some equity in this day and age. The days of borrowing all your equity, and in some cases, sadly enough, people went far above and beyond what they actually had for a value on their home and borrowed 110% of their home's value, 115, 125% of their home's value. Insanity, but it was done. Terrible situation there. So you've got to have some equity if you want to access it and use it. We see a lot of lines of credit where second mortgage is capped at 80% combined loan to value, meaning your first mortgage and the new line of credit combined can't exceed 80% of what the appraisal is. Now that's loosening up a little bit, and we're starting to see 85, even 90, in some cases 95%. But expect to have some equity remaining by the time you pull some of that cash out.
All right, there are a couple types of lines of credit, Craig, or second mortgages. What are they?
Well, you've got your home equity line of credit, which works kind of like a credit card with a lien against your house. It's going to be a loan that can fluctuate, you can pay it down, and then re-access that money you've paid down again.
Which would which would technically be a HELOC. So I misspoke before the break because we've got a home equity line of credit, and then there's another type of home equity second mortgage you can tap into.
Sure.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
And you would have a closed-end second mortgage or a fixed. It doesn't necessarily have to have a fixed rate, but a closed-end second mortgage where you're borrowing a specific amount of money. It has a specific repayment term, and as you pay it down, you can't re-access that like a credit line. You just paid it down and repaid like your first mortgage would work. So closed ends, and then you've got open lines of credit.
All right, and the closed end is fixed, whereas the open line of credit is a variable rate.
And there are some closed ends that might have an adjustable rate.
Could have, yes. Yeah.
But usually we
You're
see
right.
that they're fixed rates.
You got it. Okay, so one thing to understand is that it is a second mortgage. When you use home equity, you're going to sign a document that, in essence, ties that loan, collateralizes that loan with your home equity. So all the same obligations of repayment, all of the same ability of that lender to demand payment if you fall behind, to foreclose in the event you fall behind on the payment exist. It will usually show up on your credit report, even if it doesn't. It is still a second mortgage. It is still a mortgage. So make sure you understand all the same the advantages of having that, usually a fixed or lower interest rate. Also, in most instances, many instances, it can be tax deductible, but all the legal obligations that if you fail to make the payments, they can foreclose.
That's right.
Okay. What else, Craig?
All right, so you need to think about the size of the loan. Sometimes you may think that, okay, well, a simple solution to needing this $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 for some college tuition to help my kid out is by tapping into my home equity. Well, you may find that lenders aren't really excited about making such small loans. And in fact, in many cases, I tell people if it is a small loan like that, you may be able to just go get an open signature loan type credit line without putting a lien on your house. But it is going to be more difficult to go take out a really small home equity line of credit. So if you only have a little bit of equity that you can access, $5,000, $10,000, you may have a hard time getting that loan. Many lenders start at $20,000, $25,000 as their minimum line of credit or second mortgage amount.
Okay. And what's the fifth, Craig?
Fees and the rate. You've got to pay attention to this because fees on second mortgages are substantially more significant in relation to the size of the loan than a first mortgage. If you pay $1,000 or $2,000 to do a $200,000 first mortgage is one thing. If you pay $1,500 to do a $25,000 or $30,000 second, factor that into the rate itself, you're really paying a high APR.
Yeah. just like the first mortgage, you got to do the break even on it. You got to understand what is the real cost of borrowing this. Sometimes it may be better to do it all in the form of a first, not just for simplicity and convenience, doing it in the form of a second. So,
Absolutely.
all right. Okay, there's the music, Craig. Should you stay or should you go? We have Jesse in Chicago, Illinois emailed. I'm considering my first home purchase. Congratulations, Jesse. Every house I've looked at in the last 2 months is sold within a couple of weeks. I feel a lot of pressure to make a decision. My realtor keeps pushing me to do something. I pay $1,400 in rent now. The estimated mortgage payment would be about the same. I will have about $5,000 left in the bank after I buy, and I'm able to save about $300 per month with my current bills. I'm nervous about this big financial decision. Should I rent or buy? Thanks for your show and your advice. Thank you, Jesse. Craig. There you
Stay.
go.
And here's where I'm coming from. Whenever you tell me that you're nervous, you're scared, you've got apprehension, well, that's got to be put in check before you can move forward with a financial transaction, period.
Yeah.
Regardless of the pressures, regardless of what the numbers add up to, if that's still what's in your gut, you got to listen to your gut. Sit down, make sure you've really looked at the math. There'll be pressure because it seems like the market's hot. That's what marketing's all about. You're going to miss out on something, so you better buy this now. Take your time, really assess your financial situation. There's other considerations besides what the current rent payment is versus the mortgage. If it's about the same, the mortgage is an advantage in some cases, but homeownership may carry some additional expenses on a monthly basis that renting doesn't. You've really got to pay attention. And I would probably recommend building up a little bit more reserves anyway. That'll probably help Jesse not feel so nervous.
You got Jesse. Don't make a hair-trigger decision, Jesse. Stay put. Life as you own it. Stay tuned. All right, life as you own it, and today is the day of fives. Five.
High five, Mark.
High five. You know, why did you push out the high five? You kind of did one of those from your chest. You just pushed it, and then you did. Anyway, you guys get on laying down. It's kind of.
We have it on
we did it
video.
fine.
What's wrong with my high five?
That's right. I was just messing.
Seems
with
like a
you.
normal high five.
I was trying to infer that it was kind of like patty cake high five.
No.
That's all right.
Hey,
Hey, folks.
how about low five?
Low five, you got it. Okay, so all about the fives. Five, as we rifle through what you've missed so far, if you haven't been paying attention or if you have not tuned into the entirety of the show, remember, you can go to YouTube, you can watch all the video, or you can go to Life As You Own It. You can go to the Life As You Own It website, lifeasyouownit.com, and you can podcast the show, you can listen to old shows, you can listen to this show, and get all the highlights.
Listen to news
highlights.
You can
And
even
some of the
listen to
lowlights.
shows that we haven't even recorded yet.
That's right. We're
You
working on that.
Figure out how that works by checking it out yourself.
We're starting a couple new businesses, as we discussed off air just a minute ago. Rosa's Ringtone Renovations. You know, you give us your information, she will suggest for you the perfect ringtone based upon the personality descriptors that you've given her. Right,
Yeah.
Rosa?
Right,
So
I'm
you
on
do
it.
that. And the other is going to be, you're going to be able to listen to future recordings of the show before they've actually been recorded. Sounds like the other business? We are going to make billions. All right, folks. But back to a serious note. We've already given you 5 things that will possibly put a dent in your refi or purchase transaction. 5 things you need to know about home equity. And now we're moving on to 5 major must-haves for your first home. Things that are going to make that first home your little version of a palace.
Yeah.
Right, Craig?
5.
What did you like about your first home?
I liked it had a 3-car garage, actually, which I was real stoked about.
Yeah.
And had large closets, but it had no storage space whatsoever, which I quickly realized would make my closets full and my garage full, negating the 3-car garage and large closet. So,
You know, based upon the way I see you dress, I'm surprised you needed a lot of closet space.
yeah,
Just kidding.
Yeah.
You are a sharp dresser. And he's wearing coral today.
I am wearing coral. It's the new gray.
It is. All right, folks. So it's your first time home, and what are some of the things that we think will make it a fabuloso first time home? And number one is make sure that it's a place that you are going to be long term. We talk about it every show. Is real estate, unless you're an investor, is a long term investment. You got to be there 5 to 10 years. You got a good opportunity of making that investment in real estate in that home being a fabulous home for you. What else, Craig? Do you know?
I do know what else, actually, and here is what it is. No, I was going to comment on the other thing, but we'll just
Okay.
keep running. No, it's okay. Affordable price tag. An affordable price tag. Can you really afford what you're looking at? Don't overhouse yourself. Make sure that you've done a solid job of developing your budget, doing the math, putting your financial plan together before you pull the trigger on buying that home. Now, I will say on the flip side of that, we've talked about this in previous shows, don't underhouse yourself either. Make it just fit and work, a home that will last for the next 5 or 6 years or more, and make sure that it fits your budget. But don't underhouse yourself to where you are compelled to move in a year or two because it's not meeting your needs. It might be affordable. Maybe it's too affordable. Don't be so conservative. I did this, regretted my first home purchase, bought another home a year and a half later, but thankfully the market was different. I can't imagine today buying a house and then a year or two later.
Well, your first home had a 3-car garage and big closets,
Right. I know.
and you underhoused.
I can't explain the rest why it was underhouse.
Okay.
I'm just
All
kidding.
right. Okay, that's all
I
right.
wasn't content, Mark. Okay.
You don't need to- you
I'm
don't
sorry,
need
I'm
to
being
be-
materialistic.
You don't need to be honest with the listeners.
I'm sorry.
We can. All right. So number 3 is, and this is the, the 3 biggest words in real estate. I know it's cliche, but it's true, and it's tried and true. Location, 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 folks. If you're buying and you feel like you're paying a little more of a premium because you're on a cul-de-sac, you probably are. If you're buying and you're getting a fantastic deal on that perfect house, and you're right on a busy street, you are getting a fantastic deal, but it's all relative. If you take the same house and you put it back on a cul-de-sac, you're going to pay more. When you go to sell on the house on the busy street, you're going to sell for less on a relative basis. It's going to take more time to sell it. People want location, so make sure that you can be there 5 or 10 years, and that location meets your needs, and that it is going to sell quicker, not at a discounted amount because it's a beautiful house in a bad location. Also, maintenance on the house. Check the maintenance records as much as you can as they have them, whether it's the HVAC, the major components, all those things. But also, as you have a property inspection, which yes, you're a first-time home buyer, you must have a property inspection. Go through it. Are there things that indicate whether it's a good amount of wood rot, whether they find galvanized pipe that is leaking in the basement, whether it's whether you're around the foundation, you can see landscape, whether the soil is pulled away from the foundation, might be settling, etc. Has there been the proper maintenance on the house, which means that you're not just right around the corner from some potential serious issues. All right, what else, Craig?
And I'll tell you, that's a big indicator of how the rest of the home maybe has been taken care of, what you can't see. If there hasn't been HVAC annual checkups or services done, you see all the the landscaping around the home has been neglected. Those are usually not good signs. So get a very thorough inspection. Even if it's a brand new home, by the way, we always recommend you get a full inspection on that house.
You can see, and I've bought houses before where the owner before was meticulous. I mean, they go through and see. That's not, not that you still can't get a great house that didn't have a meticulous owner, but trust me, if there is deferred maintenance, you may not see it right away, but it'll show it. It'll rear its ugly head eventually.
Makes you feel good.
That's right. And then lastly is one way to make sure you're getting right is, does it have a lot of the newer components that most houses need these days to be marketable and also save you money on your energy bills? So does it have energy efficient windows? Does it have a newer hot water heater? Does it have plumbing? I mean, updated plumbing, copper versus galvanized, which most are going to have that by now. Does it have any of the features and amenities that are in line with what today's homeowner wants?
Yeah.
Going to save you money, going to save you time, going to save you maintenance. All those.
Even paint colors and things like that, you got to factor in you're going to spend money on this kind of stuff. You buy a home in an old area and you're buying a home that's kind of got a lot of whatever, lack of updates, deferred maintenance, all that kind of stuff. You're going to spend that money, so factor that into your price.
All right, when we come back, we've got 5 no-brainer money-saving tips that everybody forgets. Life as you own it.
All right, friends, we are back. We are back. Life as you own it. Final segment. So hang in there with us. You don't have much time. We're going to fill your brain with more useful information before we let you out of here for the week. All right, Mark. What do you have? Some 5 savings tips?
Yeah, some easy. Always like to give you some info that you can be reminded of. I'm sure a lot of it you've heard before. Some of it might be new to you, but here are 5 no-brainer money-saving tips that you can implement today. Number 1 is crank down adjust that thermostat. In fact, I recommend get a thermostat that is either it's a Nest or it's a similar one where you can set on autopilot where at certain times of the day it's going to kick it up a few degrees during the summer. Not going to cool all day working hard, and then and during the winter it's going to take it down a few degrees when you're snug under your blankets or you're not going to be at home, either one. And on weekends when you're not there, you've got an opportunity that can save you 10, 15, 20, 25% on your heating bill just by monitoring your thermostat. So monitor that thermostat regardless of the time of year. And if you don't have allergies, why don't you just freshen up the house a little? Crank open those windows here during the spring months if it's reasonable temperature. You can control your thermostat by opening and closing your windows. Number 2 is when you're buying clothes. That's good. An easy one we say, but purchase them on sale. How often are clothes on sale? I know by anything clothes-wise unless it's on sale.
Me, I'm the same way.
Now, I did pay full price for a Life as You Own It t-shirt.
Those are good.
And speaking of Life as You Own It t-shirts, we don't really have any. We're completely out of them. But if you'd like a Truth in Lending Show t-shirt, we'll go retro. Those are
50%
classics.
off.
50% off. So we'll give you one for $0. 50% off is zero. You know, if you call in, emails, etc., and you'd like a really vintage, cool-looking Till Show, which is the predecessor to Life as You Own It, that we did for 4.5 years before we changed names. Same show, same great content, same good-looking host.
And Mark's still with us, so that's good.
Exactly. We've got some T-shirts left over. Retro. Call us, emails. We'll give you one. All right. Number 3 is you could participate in the bulk buying clubs such as Costco, Sam's Club, etc. But make sure you don't do what I do. Don't necessarily buy mayo and eggs and milk and all that stuff that might perish. I mean, I hate to even I got to be careful at our house. I'm looking under there. I'm saying, this ketchup expired a month ago because you bought the 4-pack, 16-gallon ketchup thing. So buy non-perishable items in bulk there. Be careful of the perishable items.
Paper towels, toilet paper, that kind of stuff. Save a lot of money when you buy those big quantities.
All right. This is a classic one. We always tell our friends and listeners, people trying to save a few bucks. What is it, Craig?
Skip the Starbucks.
Yeah.
Or any other expensive coffee for that matter. The place that you like to stop by on the way to work, maybe on the way home, or sit and chat out on a Saturday. Pack your own thermos. Just kidding. But seriously though, it's $4 or $5 for some cup of coffee. What are you doing? What are people doing out there?
Yeah, spend a little more money. Get that special blend coffee. Spend a few more bucks to buy it at the store and make your own. If you want something exotic, spend a few more bucks to buy the coffee at the store and then make your own. You're going to save about 80% on that coffee.
If you ever stop by the Life as You Own It studio, we'll let you use our Keurig thingy. And
we do. We have one right outside the studio. As you can tell, Craig and I get amped up on it before the show. Yes, Maybe not. We're just amped up on life. And the last one is number 5 is
my favorite.
Yeah,
yours too.
Yeah, is whether you ride a bike or you walk. Either way, any form of alternative transportation. Shockingly, we're all connected. So we've got our smartphones, we've got connectivity all the time. It's a little easier to conceptualize riding public transportation for me now, because I can keep on working and I'm not driving.
Right.
So there's benefits, and if you're in markets where you're already using public transportation, we're not telling you anything you don't know.
That's right.
But use a bike. Save a few minutes. Get a little exercise. Save a few minutes. Walk a little more. Do you need to drive 3 blocks to the grocery store?
Yeah.
Or could you pick up a nice spring day walk?
I'll tell you what
Benefits
I do.
Of health, etc.
I make myself a big cup of generic coffee. I hop on my bike and I go buy a bunch of bulk paper towels and I strap them on.
After you turn down the AC.
People are talking. You can see
Right.
me going down the road.
That's right.
Usually if I wreck, it cushions the crash. So, I mean, it's multifaceted money-saving adventure for me.
You got it. All right, folks. We appreciate you hanging out with us. We hope you had fun. We hope you are just a little more educated than before we began the hour. And we want to remind you to always
stay classy.